What's up guys, it's Scoopman5000 and today we're back for another action figure review. We're looking at the Masters of the Universe Origins, He-Man and Evil-Lyn. I previously reviewed Skeletor and I found him in Walmart, but I was able to find these two on Walmart.com. And finally it seems like these figures are getting a little bit easier to find. They're getting into people's hands, and they had to go and make WWE He-Man figures last year, and that sucked me into the He-Man franchise. I've been watching the cartoon and I've been getting into the figures, and Origins is a perfect starting on point. It's a brand new line from Mattel, takes those retro designs and gives them modern articulation. And we can't have Masters of the Universe without He-Man. And then we also got Evil-Lyn, who is the right-hand woman to Skeletor. And again, we looked at Skeletor previously if you want to see that review, but the card backs here are very reminiscent of the original Masters of the Universe toys. We just get new for $20 on top, and you can see my He-Man was destroyed by Walmart.com. And then we get modern posing retro play. On the back you get some awesome artwork of He-Man and Evil-Lyn. Then you get the read-up. So for He-Man it says, with the mystical power sword, the mighty He-Man protects Eternia from the forces of evil. And then for Evil-Lyn it says she wields the frightening magic, making her both Skeletor's greatest ally and his worst enemy. And then we get some little graphics here, you showing how you can use the figures. And then we also got the other characters in the wave. So I'm still on the hunt for Teela, Man-at-Arms, and Beastman. But that about covers packaging. We're going to start with Evil-Lyn, and then we're going to take a look at He-Man. Both characters are going to come with the same comic book from Skeletor, but I'm pretty sure all 6 characters in this wave have this book, so there's not much to say about that. And then Evil-Lyn's one and only accessory is her scepter with the orb up top, and it even looks like there's some claws kind of clutching on that orb on the top. It's cast in a light blue plastic. I'm not actually familiar with the original Evil-Lyn figure, but I'm pretty sure this is close enough to what that came with. And that brings us to Evil-Lyn. And now, I've been watching the Filmation cartoon, and she's definitely not green or yellow in that show. But I gotta say, I do like the green skin on Evil-Lyn. It just creates more of a differentiation, makes her stand out on a shelf. This whole line, Masters of the Universe Origins, has some excellent colors. So her yellowish green skin pops, and as well as this light blue pops off of the darker navy blue that's on the rest of the costume. Up at the head sculpt, she got this evil headdress, reminds me of something like Maleficent or something like that. So it's that dark navy blue, and then you got the lighter teal blue accents, so you got some kind of feathers poking up. Also, you see that on the back. And then you get a skull up top, and the paint is pretty clean on this figure, especially on the face. I don't know what kind of technology they're using on these Masters of the Universe Origins figures, but that is a great head sculpt on Evil-Lyn. And then she's got this classic one-piece. You'd always see this on superhero designs and old school designs for female characters. It's kind of something that's unfortunately died out these days, but you could see that it wraps around for the neck collar here. There's a bit of fur to it. You get the exposed back. And like with He-Man and Skeletor and a lot of characters that used to share parts, you got the same thing here. It's the same torso that we're going to get on Teela, but it's just done in the evil color scheme. So you get the exposed back here. The neck wraps around to the front. You get a pop collar, a bit of chest showing, and then you get this kind of ram design, I guess you could say, for the chest itself down into the torso. And that's done again in that beautiful teal blue. Her arms have some studded bracers up top at the biceps, and then she's got these armored gauntlets on the side with some regal looking designs to them. And then for the lower half of her one-piece suit here, we get some more feather looking details, some circles, just some ornate designs here to fill out this character's bodysuit. She's got the bare yellow legs, and then moving down, you can see the boots here. They're done in that almost navy blue. I don't even want to call it navy, it's a bit brighter than that, but you can see it's got the fur texture, the straps, and then the boots are a pretty standard sculpt. Then we'll go into articulation. That's the big thing with Masters of the Universe Origins, because on the surface you have a figure that looks very reminiscent of the retro toy, but you got all sorts of moving parts you did not get on the previous figure. You can see it looks back not so much because of the neck collar and the helmet, but it looks down decently enough. It's much better than the old swivels you used to get on He-Man figures. The torso does swivel, akin to the classic figures. You get some rotation on the shoulder and then a hinge as well. You get no bicep cut, but you do get a pretty decent 90-degree elbow. And then the hands are going to hinge and swivel. I do wish that they were up and down hands because they are weapon hands. She's got the ball joint. She can do a full split, which is very good. The legs can kick back and forward, all the movement you want. Then you get a 90-degree knee. You get an upper boot cut. And then for the feet, you get ankle rocker, and then you also get a hinge. And that's about it for Evil-Lyn, a simple figure, but that's exactly what you want from this line. We'll go ahead now and do some comparisons. So bringing in some WWE Masters of the Universe, we got the He-Man John Cena and the Scareglow Undertaker. And we haven't gotten any female characters yet in the WWE wave, but we are going to be getting a Becky Lynch very soon, which is going to basically be a Teela. And then finally, we got the Origins Skeletor we already took a look at. And then we have the WWE version of Skeletor, which is going to be Skull King Triple H. And that all but covers Evil-Lyn. And now let's go on to the star of the show. We'll get on to He-Man. And then he comes with 3 accessories. We start out here with the Battle Axe, and this is a very simple sculpt. It's actually simpler than the vintage toy. And the Battle Axe here is the same one we got with the John Cena from the WWE line. And the same thing can be said for He-Man's shield. It's the same piece here, but obviously Cena's were done in the You Can't See Me, the transparent plastic. And here they're done in He-Man's traditional getup, so it's the bluish gray, and then you got some orangish red design up here on the front. And then you already know we got the power sword, so he can lift it as Prince Adam and say he has the power. Turn into He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. And if you picked up Skeletor with He-Man, you can take the other half of the power sword. This is a very retro toy inspired thing here. You see that you get pegs here and holes on the purple end, and you clip them together, and then you have the completed power sword. And that's kind of the MacGuffin of the original Masters of the Universe toys, is that Skeletor is on the quest to complete his half of the power sword. And you can see the swords kind of split apart at the end, but I think that's honestly just so you could take it apart easy enough. And really cool on He-Man, you actually do get a sheath on the back of his harness here, so you can actually stick the power sword in the back, and that looks very good. And going over He-Man, if you're a purist of the retro toys, the biggest difference here is obviously that head sculpt. And it's not like in the case of Skeletor, where it's just a different expression, but the same head sculpt more or less. Here he's been, I wouldn't say completely redesigned, but he's definitely been reworked. He's had some facial surgery. And also the hair is a separate yellow piece as opposed to being painted on the original. But I think you did have to go and update that head sculpt. It almost looks a bit more Filmation. And overall, I really do like this head sculpt. It's probably what He-Man should have looked like from the beginning. But I do wish that it came with the alternate head that the Comic-Con release came with of the classic head, just to give us options. But as it stands, I am glad with this one. And then in the middle of He-Man, of course, you got the harness here. It's got kind of like an iron cross in the middle, and then some red details going on the top straps, and this one is removable. And the way you kind of can remove it on here, because these are modular figures, they're customizable, you go ahead and you pop off the lower legs on He-Man, and then you can unhook it this way. You bring the harness off, and then that's how you're going to be able to remove his harness. And if you go and take a look, it's the same body on Skeletor. It's the same body on the WWE figures for John Cena. That's classic He-Man. You're going to be reusing parts. But I'm not going to be removing the harness. That's obviously one of He-Man's signature looks. And I'm sure even at some point we'll be getting versions of him in the big battle chest plate. And there's already the Prince Adam, which I still want to get with the Sky Sled. But we'll go ahead, we'll snap his body back on. But he's got the big bulging arms, the same arms that we got on these other figures. Total reuse here. If you look at Skeletor, it's the same body. I guess technically Skeletor would be reusing He-Man, but you can see it's the same trunks, the same legs and everything like that. The unique pieces here for He-Man are the boots. They're done with that fur and the yellow up top, and then the brown on the bottom, some straps on there. Other than that, he's got the orange gauntlets, and they're actually a different sculpt than John Cena's, because I guess they're supposed to be doubled because John Cena wears the double wristbands. And the harness actually here is different too, so it can accommodate for John Cena's logo. But John Cena definitely is the He-Man of that line, and you can see the similarities. You go ahead and give him those accessories, and you could see all the design cues that this John Cena took from the original He-Man design. Going over his articulation, the head's on the ball joint. You're going to be looking back and forward that much. You get the swivel at the waist. Their arms are on hinges, and then they can rotate as well. You get the single jointed elbow, which is kind of blocked by all the big bulging muscles. And then you get the hinge and the swivel at the wrist. You get the splits at the legs. They're going to kick back. They're going to go forward, sideways. Good splits on them. You get in the single jointed knee, which is pretty good. Then you get a boot cut, and then you get a hinge and a rocker at the ankle. And that covers He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. And now we're going to go ahead and do some comparisons. And you can see bringing him back with the John Cena, and then we'll bring in that Triple H. And these look so good together. I'm so thrilled with this line. I'm glad that they ended up making the wrestling figures first, because that sucked me in, and now I'm buying Masters of the Universe Origins. And honestly, that's where these He-Man figures are going to end up on my displays, is going to be with my wrestling collection. I'm definitely going to have these figures. I'm going to have to buy some more gray skull rings, because I want to fill up those rings with the wrestling ones, and now also with MOTU Origins. And now this is the 3 MOTU Origins we've looked at so far. We'll bring back Evil-Lyn from this video, and then Skeletor from the previous one. And just looking at these here, the colors are absolutely amazing. And once I get Prince Adam, Beastman, Man-at-Arms, Teela, it's going to be such a beautiful, colorful display. And overall, that's going to do it for your look at He-Man and Evil-Lyn. So I love MOTU Origins so far. I don't even know who's in Wave 2 or when that's coming, other than Scareglow, who I definitely want to pick up. And then for the WWE side of things, very soon we should be getting The Fiend, Mr. T, Jake Roberts, and also Seth Rollins. They're even starting to pop up in some Walmarts in Canada. but the eBay prices are too outrageous right now. I'm going to wait a little bit, see if I can get them at a better price. I don't think I'll ever see them in stores because they're very difficult to get. But nonetheless, if you like those kind of reviews, you can stay right here on the Scoopman5000 YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting these guys to my Instagram. You can follow that at Scoopman_5000. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.